You know, there's an awful lot of talk in the States and on the media about security in Mexico. Tell us a little bit about how you feel living here as a single woman.
I hate my visitors to call me and say, can I come? Is it going to be safe? I live alone with my cat, and I feel safer here than in the U.S. When I'm visiting, and I do visit my friends in the U.S., I see TV. They watch the news. Every night on TV, there's murders, there's robberies, there's all kinds of crime. I don't have that here. It really bothers me when I read the news media playing up one little tiny thing that maybe happened as if it was all over. And it's like saying, I'm not going to go to Carmel because there was a murder in New York.
I would say, you know, living here, we're not immune to the press. I mean, we also have television. We're getting the news in from the States, and we're reading newspapers, and we're online. But, you know, one thing that I don't know if you can tell, but we live right in the middle of town in Puerto Vallarta. We don't drive a great deal. For business purposes, when we have places to go, sure, we'll drive. But we're walking, and we're walking late at night, always on the streets here. And it's very, very safe. And it's never felt dangerous to us at all. I think that as long as, you know, if you're a legitimate business person, you're a tourist, or you're retiring down here, that the news stories don't touch you anymore, I think, than, you know, when Al Capone was duking it out in Chicago, that somebody in the suburbs had something to worry about there. It just doesn't happen if you're not involved in any of those activities.
So it's more about just kind of pay attention to what you're doing, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And not even to that extent. You know, there in New York City, which, you know, is my basis point prior to moving to Puerto Vallarta, you're on your guard. I mean, you walk down the street, and, you know, there are steps you take prior to even leaving your house to make sure that you feel safe. Where you put your money in your pocket. You know, small things like that. Down here, it's, you know, granted, you don't want to be stupid. You know, what's the expression? Don't check your brains at the border.
Exactly.
But I have always felt a lot safer in Puerto Vallarta than I ever did in New York City or in any big city in the U.S. or elsewhere. This is, you know, this is a cakewalk.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier, David and I did. You know, our business is a national business, and he addressed the mortgages that we're doing for U.S. and Canadian citizens, but we have a large mortgage business for Mexican nationals. It's a new industry here in Mexico. So we do a great deal of traveling around Mexico. Just next month, we're going to be in Mexico City, Cuernavaca, and Puebla. I have never felt that I was in danger in any of those cities at any time. And as he said, you know, Mexico City is a big city, so you watch what's going on, but we've never had anything, and we're there very often.
We wouldn't be here if that's the way
That's a strong statement.
It is.
Okay.
I mean, if we felt scared all the time, we'd leave. But there isn't anything to be afraid of. We've never seen on the streets anything threatening, and until that day, we feel very comfortable here.
We're in an interesting situation because we drive back and forth to California every year. So we usually drive back during the springtime to California and then come home here in Puerto Vallarta in the fall, usually in October. So we go through all the areas that have the worst warnings. That being said, we've never had a problem anywhere along the route. We've seen a lot of police presence, which we feel good about. We've seen a lot of military presence, which we're happy to see. They stop us. Sometimes they search the car, and we're happy to see that. Fortunately, we have not encountered any problems whatsoever. That's on the travel between here and the United States. Living in Puerto Vallarta is unlike what you see in the news in the United States. I have friends that ask, well, don't you see bodies in the streets? Do you have to dodge the bullets? I feel safer here than I have ever felt anywhere that I've lived in California. And that includes Sacramento, San Jose, Palm Springs, Santa Barbara. It's a very safe town in which to live.
That's a very strong statement. Wow.
You know, you look at it. We were back in California last summer, there was a shooting that took place at a beauty parlor outside of Los Angeles. And I forget how many innocent people were massacred. If that would have happened in Mexico, it would have been the lead story of every news station in the United States that night. In California, it's just like, oh, another gunman came out and shot a bunch of people. It happens anywhere. And I like to say the difference between violence in the United States and Mexico is in the United States, it's random. A gunman goes to a Safeway store in Tucson and opens fire on people. A gunman opens fire at a beauty parlor in Los Angeles. Here, it's gang-on-gang violence. It's the cartels versus the cartels. If your nose isn't involved in drugs, you don't really have to worry about it.